Marty was something like Larry, someone you hang around with all the time, like Joey Costello and Kevin Burns. But he wasn't different from those guys, and you weren't supposed to say those guys. Who do you think you're trying to be? Who do you want to think we think you want to be when you grow up? Some sort of punk from the city who ends up in the river with cement overshoes, because that's all you would be good for if all you can say is those guys. They're your friends, am I not correct? Your friends are not something called those guys. Mm-hmm. Marty said I could carry his pencil box home and show it to my mother. Show it to your mom, is how Marty put it, because Marty was sort of the boy who had a mother, and coming in from a hard day, he was supposed to greet her. Mother, can you? Eventually a pencil box was acquired, but by then it was something you didn't carry to school with you, and you didn't want to leave it in your desk. It was just a nuisance. When are you getting on the road? Before long you'll have us back into the womb of all of that. To go any place requires. These fucking pencil boxes didn't make room for compasses. How do you carry a compass back and forth without it poking your leg, let alone being used as a weapon to attack the eyesight of the man in the moon, for all I care? Just trying. Gene had been saying something like that, just saying, just trying, and there can you only be so much of this just trying, and you got to say, I tried, and it worked or it didn't work, and then if it didn't work, you got to remember what your father would have said. To save the fishing pole, you got to cut bait. When I get pressed in class as to what something matters means, I get lost and have to lean back on the old teacher dodge of let's discuss this, and if there are any growls from the lion's pits, it's because a written assignment is due yesterday, which is what you got to say these days. Due yesterday, and the kids, I know what you're meaning. I guess they do, because I haven't a clue what is going on in their heads, if anything. Some of them still got some brain cells left, not many, and those that are left are pretty strange. Of course, we are strange back when we were kids. Kids are always a mixed bag and always a big dumping ground for every cliche in the editorial notebook, as if they keep a little book of these pithy sayings by their typewriters, and once a year wheel them out about with as much predictability as city people coming out to Fire Island after Memorial Day. Gene was in the 3rd grade, I guess it was, and I was in the 2nd grade, and he ran me down with his bicycle, and we became friends. For all the years of our lives, as we said back then, it was all the years when you are making such friends, only later to find myself in here in the city without a single friend of that sort. Friends now take the form of appointments. Gene was always tall and 1 year older. Eventually came a time when we could no longer be friends. Sometimes those years are wedded, and if the two people live in the same village, town, or city within a couple of blocks of each other, it is possible to renew the friendship with years of talking about what had happened back then and in all the years in between. Our fathers went into the city together on the train. I do know what they talked about. Maybe it will come to me. No, I do not know what they talked about. Maybe it will come to me. It would come to me, and to find out what your father was very uninteresting, or that his son did not know how to make him interesting, even with a sworn statement in favor of the ordinary universe. He is stuck with the absence of poetry. 2 men take the 6:59 train from Patchogue into New York City and catch the 4-something back from the city to Patchogue, arriving at 7 o'clock. Mom is waiting at the station with the car. Waiting was hearing the train. It went to the crossing at River Avenue, whistle sounding, getting out of the car, walking to the platform, waiting, and Dad was on the steps of the train, always with a quick little step down from the train before it stopped with the Journal American under an arm, turned to the comic page. And he would get in the driver's side, and if it was Friday, it always seems like Friday in the moment of memory, we would go around the block to the liquor store where he would buy a bottle of Thunderbird to drink with the little jelly jars to unwind from the week. One Christmas, all the needles fell off the Carol's Christmas tree, a strange sort of closed tree with strings of Christmas lights, No miniature village under the tree. Some crumbled up white wrapping paper, more like tissue paper, the bare wood floor. And to think Dad would say, that man Carol makes more money than I do, and this is what happens to him. You just never know about some people and what can happen to them. They were a source of some lesson learning for one and all. To have parents like that who sit in the bars every weekend, leaving the kids either at home or dragging them around, to sit in the car in the parking lots of bars for a 15-mile radius of the village. And that woman, those children, in spite of what they have to live with, are always so pleasant, always ready with a nice smile or a pleasant word, never a smirk like the Zimmerman children, or those others I could name, but wouldn't, because I don't want them to think I or we noticed, but your father and I have discussed them, and they are just what we don't want you and your sister to turn out like. Now, Gene is such a nice boy, not like, he doesn't probably get a decent home-cooked meal from one week to the next if I know the carols and how lucky you are. I don't have to travel to Patchogue to be there. I am always in Patchogue.